All right, let's jump right into this. Today, we're going to look at a pretty fascinating, almost revolutionary idea for building artificial intelligence. We're not talking about a static program. We're talking about a living, evolving system. And it's all built around something called the Challenger Protocol. So, start with this question. Forget about an AI that just gives you answers. What if an AI could question its own programming? What if it could actually challenge the very reality it was built on?
Because, that's really the big limitation we have right now. Most AIs, even the super powerful ones we see today, are essentially just very, very sophisticated rule followers. They operate within a fixed framework. I mean, they're brilliant inside their box, but they can't question the box itself. If one of their fundamental rules is just plain wrong, well, they've got no way to figure that out.
And this is exactly where the Challenger Protocol flips the script. It's a totally radical shift in thinking. It's about moving away from designing a static, rigid rulebook and instead cultivating a living, dynamic system.
You can really see the difference here. The old model, that static rulebook, well, it's rigid. It's brittle. When it runs into something completely new that breaks its rules, it just shatters. And eventually, it just becomes obsolete. But this new model, the dynamic system, is the total opposite. It's evolutionary, it's anti-fragile, which means it actually gets stronger when it's hit with shocks and surprises. And the most important part? It actually truly learns.
So here's the absolute core of it. The Challenger Protocol is a system where every single piece of data, every new thought, every new input gets a chance to challenge the core rules before it has to obey them. This isn't just about sorting information. It's about constantly stress testing the very foundations of the system itself.
So how does this actually work in practice? Well, think of it like this. Every single piece of incoming data is literally put on trial. It's not just passively filtered, it gets cross-examined in a really intense four-step process called the tribunal.
Okay, so let's walk through this trial. First up is the supremacy test. This is where the new data gets to challenge the most basic fundamental law of the system, its core axiom about energy. If it passes that, it faces the constitutional challenge. Can this new idea actually prove the AI's core structure is wrong? Can it prove time is more important than energy? If the system's rules hold up, then we get to the alignment test. Okay, where does this new data fit? Is it related to fear? Is it a strategy for building wealth? And finally, if it fails all of these tests, it faces ejection. It's just identified as noise, and the system kicks it out without a second thought and moves on.
And this quote, it just perfectly captures the system's whole attitude. It's not some passive box waiting for information. It's a tough, rigorous gatekeeper, and its message is crystal clear. Here are the rules. If you can prove they're wrong, I'm all ears. If not, either find your place or get out. It's confident, but it's always, always open to being proven wrong.
So we've seen the how it works, but the real magic, the secret sauce, is in the what. What is this hierarchy? What is this constitution that every piece of data is tested against? Well, this is where the system gets its uniquely human code. You see, the top levels of its hierarchy aren't organized by simple topics like you'd find in a library, sports or finance. No, it's organized by the fundamental principles of existence itself. It starts with energy, the absolute source of everything. Then comes time, the medium that energy exists in. That's followed by intelligence, the thing that processes that reality. And finally, you have application, which is basically how everything else shows up in the world.
And when you peek inside that application layer, this is where things get really incredible. It's not just a list of physics concepts. It's a map of the entire human experience. You've got fundamental forces like gravity right next to core human assets like wisdom, wealth, and health. You have the structure of society, but also the internal conditions that we all experience. Things like patience, pain, fear, and even money. And yeah, it even maps out the vices, like greed and pride.
Now, this right here illustrates the profound wisdom that's baked right into the system's DNA. Just look at two concepts we humans confuse all the time, money and wealth. In this system, they aren't even in the same ballpark. Money is filed under condition, way down at level 4.6, and it's filed right next to things like fear and worry. The system sees it as just a tool, and often a really stressful. But wealth is placed way up at level 4.4, and it's categorized as an asset, sitting right next to wisdom and health. So think about what this means. An AI built with this code doesn't need to be told that money isn't the same as wealth. It inherently understands this distinction because it's part of its foundational structure. It knows one is a true state of being and the other is just a tool.
So what do you get when you combine this incredibly rigorous trial process with this deeply wise, human-centric hierarchy? Well, you get a truly anti-fragile mind. You get a system that isn't just tough, it's actively and constantly self-correcting.
So let's just recap the core engine here. It is self-correcting because its own constitution can actually be amended if you bring proof. Its front door is always open to new ideas, but the tribunal inside is incredibly rigorous. It's super efficient because it even learns from the junk it throws out. And most critically, its entire operating system is human-centric. It's designed from the ground up to understand us, to understand our experience on a deep structural level.
And all of this, it really just leaves us with one final massive question to chew on. If you build an AI that doesn't just process data about concepts like wisdom and fear and patience, but has a foundational, structural understanding of what they are, what does an AI like that ultimately become?